military says it's found the bodies of 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza. They include the body of Shani Locke, a 22-year-old German-Israeli woman. A photograph was taken of her twisted body on the back of a pickup truck. A terrorist who stabbed a stranger to death in the street has been jailed for at least 44 years. Asylum seeker Ahmed Ali Alid murdered 70-year-old Terence Conway last October after prowling the streets of Hartlepool with a knife. The 45-year-old told police he did it for the people of Gaza. During sentencing, Mrs. Justice Chima Grubb described what CCTV showed of the attack.
Cries are heard on the footage, and it's likely that Mr. Carney was begging, please, please, which is what the defendant told the police in his interview. But he showed him no mercy. He left him lying on the road.
A female teacher described as a predator has been convicted of having sex with 2 schoolboys following a 2-week trial at Manchester Crown Court. Jurors heard 30-year-old Rebecca Joines groomed the teenagers from the age of 15. Detective Constable Beth Alexander is from Greater Manchester Police.
She was their teacher and they rightfully put their trust in her. But Joines decided to abuse her position and used it to groom 2 teenagers. The 2 victims and their families have asked for their privacy to be respected now and moving forward. They all wish to carry on with their lives and put this ordeal behind them.
Wales's First Minister says he's disappointed that Plaid Cymru have pulled out of a cooperation agreement. There's controversy over a donation accepted by Vaughan Gething. The King and Queen are to attend ceremonies in France next month to mark the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. Charles and Camilla will join a commemorative event at the British Normandy Memorial. Dutch coach Arne Slot has confirmed he'll be the next Liverpool manager, replacing Jurgen Klopp. The foreign boss led his team to the league title in the Netherlands last season. That's the latest from Sky News. I'm Stevie Shillinglaw.
This is Revive FM 94.0.
Welcome to the Mahtab Aziz WI show. We have 2 distinguished persons representing Britain previously. We have Colin. Hi there, Colin.
Hi, Mahtab. How are we doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Good to have you on the show. And we've also got Julius Francis. Hi, Julius.
You all right? You good?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, fine. So you're
I can't see nothing.
so you haven't put on your camera.
What do I don't know.
On your end, there should be like a camera symbol.
Right. Hold on. See, I'm useless at this stuff. I'm bad at this.
We're all old school, I'm afraid.
There you go.
Right. Great to have you on, Julius, as Colin.
All right, Cole.
Hi, Jules.
Right.
You good?
Great. So what I'm going to do, just to start off, obviously not everyone is a boxing fan, so I just like perhaps Julius, if you just give like a brief summary of your career. I know you went for the Commonwealth title, you won the British title a number of times, in fact.
Yes. So obviously, for the viewers, my name is Julius Francis. I'm the former British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion, winner of the Lonsdale belt outright. I have to say that because that's one of my boxing's great achievements for myself. And during my career, I fought 5 different world champions, including Mike Tyson.
You won the Lonsdale belt because you defended it 3 times. That's why.
Yes.
Right.
So I won it and defended it 3 times. So,
excellent.
So I made it mine, becoming only the 4th heavyweight champion to do so.
Yeah, excellent.
So,
excellent. And Colin, you should just want to give a brief summary of your.
Colin McMillan, former British, Commonwealth and World Featherweight Boxing Champion, World Champion back in 1992. Like Julius, the winner of the Lonsdale belt outright. After my boxing career, which had cut short due to an injury, dislocated my shoulder in my first defence. Still involved in boxing, managed Audley Harrison for a little bit. Presently involved in the career of Hamza Shiraz, Umar Khan and Billy Adams. So still involved in the game and, you know, boxing's been a great sport, and yeah, loving it.
Excellent, great. So I think I just ask you a few personal questions first before we get on to the main issue. With Julius, Julius, I think your CV, I mean, has some great names on it. And I think, you know, people probably not aware that you actually fought Vitaly Klitschko. You know, obviously Mike Tyson, and
yeah. So yes, world champions. I fought five different world champions. Mike Tyson, obviously, Vitaly Klitschko, Axel Schultz from Germany, Oleg Maskaev, Russian, and the first Hispanic world champion, which is John Ruiz.
Yes.
Yeah, back in the early days.
Yeah.
So before he became world champion, and I don't know how many European and title contenders I've fought, but I fought a few contenders for world titles. Guys that went on to fight for world titles and European championships. So I fought. I'd say I fought quite maybe at the top end of the game. You know, I was very fortunate that I did, and you know the way my career was. So
and of course, you also fought Danny Williams.
I fought Danny twice.
Yeah, twice.
Fought Danny Williams twice. One each between the two of us. The first time I fought him was a defense of my British title. When I fought him, the fight actually, when I fought Danny, was to win the belt outright at the Albert Hall, which was a fantastic experience and for me a fantastic achievement.
That's right. And it's strange how, you know, in boxing sometimes you get two boxers, you know, one gets defeated, but then he's able to beat another boxer that defeated the guy who beat him.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like styles match fights.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you beat Danny Williams the first time, but Danny Williams then obviously beat Mike Tyson.
Yes.
So it's styles make fights, as they say. Definitely.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And also, you fought Axel Schultz, who fought the great George Foreman as well.
Axel Schultz, he fought Foreman. Vitaly Klitschko, I fought. Who actually went on to fight Lennox Lewis for the world title. I fought Željko Mavrovic for the European title. He went on to fight Lennox Lewis for the world heavyweight title. So fought Željko for the European title.
I
can't remember. I fought a few guys. I can't remember them all. I don't think.
Sure. It's a great career. You know, after
I did. Yeah. Thank you.
And of course, Vitaly Klitschko fought my friend Mr. Herbie the Dancing Destroyer Hyde.
Herbie was a character. Definitely was a character.
That's right.
The Dancing Destroyer. Yeah, I did a few rounds with Herbie myself. Back in the day, sparring. We did a good few rounds. You know. Crazy fella.
I mean, you probably may have heard that Riddick Big Daddy Bob has actually given him the title of the hardest puncher that he's faced. Which is
well, you know that actually surprised me when I heard that, because Herbie could punch. He was very mean during sparring. He never held anything back. I know that much for sure. So we did used to really get into it. But hearing Riddick Bowe credit him as being one of the hardest punches he's ever been hit by. That was, he gives him that props. You know what I mean? Because Herbie was a big puncher still. You know what I mean? For a smaller guy, for one of the back in the day, really for one of the smaller or smallest heavyweights that out there at the time.
Well, I know Herbie very well. You know, we talk regularly, and he's always told me that in actual fact, he never wanted to be a heavyweight. He actually wanted to fight as a cruiserweight, and management at the time sort of pushed him into the heavyweight division because they felt that's where the dollars were, so to speak. So that's what happened. And in fact, on a few occasions, he had to sort of help himself with his weight on the weighing scales. You know.
I've heard stories.
That's right.
Filled his pockets with coins and weights and God knows what. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's right. I mean, all credit to him. I mean, he's one of the few boxers who have defeated Tony Tucker. Tony Tucker, amazing boxer. He's one of the few who have defeated Tony Tucker. And of course, the British rivalry never extended to the fact that he never fought Lennox Lewis, but that was or Frank Bruno. So yes. Otherwise, he had a good career as well.
He did have a good career.
And of course, as a cruiserweight, which he did fight at later on in his career, he was undefeated. He had 13 fights as a cruiserweight. Never defeated. So yeah.
I think you saying earlier about styles make fights. Herbie fought a guy named by the name of Joseph Chingangu.
Yes.
And I actually and Herbie actually lost against him.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And then I went on to fight Chingangu later on for the Commonwealth title, and I actually beat Chingangu for the Commonwealth. Yes. So it's all these different things. All these different things happen, and the way boxing is like you say, styles make fights. So it's crazy.
Can I ask you? I mean. Julius, I think you did great. With some people. So, what would you attribute to the fact that perhaps your performances weren't always as you'd like? I mean, was there some other issue, or was there a personal issue? Because you had the ability.
Yeah, I think maybe right at the very top of the game, I never had that full confidence and belief in myself. Maybe what would have taken me over the line, right at the very top, I fought for the European title twice. I think when I fought Axel Schultz for the European title, and I think I beat him for the European title. I thought I beat him out at the park, but obviously I didn't get it. And then I fought Jelko Mavrovic for the European title again.
Yes.
Which was a tougher fight because Jelko was a very good, very technically gifted fighter, and as we saw, went on to give Lennox Lewis one of the hardest fights he ever had. He said.
That's right.
Yes. So I don't think it was a lack of ability for me. I think maybe a mental block, maybe pushing myself over right at the very top end of the game, but. Like I say, because I came into the game quite late as a professional, I never became a professional boxer until I was 28.
Yes,
never took up boxing as an amateur until I was 18.
Absolutely.
And then I didn't have that many fights as an amateur. I mean, I think I had about maybe over 10 years. I had about 16 fights as an amateur. As an amateur boxer, so over 10 years, so it's not very many, but my fighting abilities, I suppose, came from because I was fighting in school, on the streets, and growing up and whatever. And then I was a kickboxer. I was European champion kickboxing. So fighting was kind of like a thing that I did.
Yeah,
but maybe fighting for a world title, I think that may have took me a stretch.
Right. Yeah, but you did well to beat the highly touted Pele Reid. I mean, he was also a kickboxer before, but
He
was undefeated when he faced you, and good old Julius.
Well, there's a funny story about me and Pele.
Yeah.
That I have, because when I was kickboxing, Pele was kickboxing at the same time, but he was doing a different type of kickboxing than I was. But he would always be. There was a magazine called Combat Magazine, and Pele's face. I won the European title, but Pele's face was on the front cover.
I remember. I used to buy it myself.
He got up my nose. That really got up my nose. And I just had a little kind of a few lines inside the magazine. And then, it got on my nose a bit. And then years and years later, obviously, Pele became a pro boxer, and then we had the chance to fight. But going into the fight, I never that actually thinking about the kickboxing never came into it for me. It was just about me at the time defending my title. It was my first defense of the British title when I fought Pele.
Right.
So yeah, that was more important to me than anything else, you know.
Yeah, and of
But
course,
yeah, like I say, he was a knockout artist and knocked out everybody he faced up until he fought me. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as you say, you came into boxing a bit late. Perhaps perhaps you started it when you were like in your early teens, or you like
maybe, but then that could have worked against me. So you never know.
Yeah. Sure, good. And of course, you met another ex-kickboxer later on when you fought Matt Skelton. How's that fight different? How's that fight different to facing Pele Reid?
Matt was Matt Skelton. Yeah, he was a brawler. Matt wasn't. He did. Matt never. I wouldn't even say that Matt was very skillful as a fighter.
Yeah.
But he was a brawler. He was like one of those. I liken him to a rugby player. I used to play rugby as well back in the day. But I liken him to a big bullish type rugby player.
Right.
Him and Scott Welch are very similar. And he threw. I've got to say about Matt. Matt did throw punches from all these different kind of mad angles, uppercuts and hooks and whatever. But they weren't the normal type of uppercuts and hooks. And he bullied you and he stuck his head in there and whatever. I just got frustrated with him when I fought him. So I think he took me out of. He didn't take me out of my comfort zone at all, but he just frustrated me and took me out of my game plan. That's what he did. You know, that's how he beat me. He took me off my game plan.
Yes.
But I've got to say this: when Matt was fighting, I think he was going to fight for the English title. Matt was, and I was actually sparring with Matt, and I used to school him. So in my head, maybe I went into the fight thinking that I was going to school him anyway. But he just took me off my game plan. So obviously, I was a bit frustrated, and there was other things going on behind the scenes as well. Which was So you know.
Sure. Well, thank you for that, Julius.
No problem.
Thank you, Colin. So you've heard all that. I'm sure you must have had plenty similar sort of fight scenarios in your career. Where you've come up against someone that's well touted and you managed to sort of win against them and sometime when you're the underdog, the pressure is not so much on you. Is that something that you could? Is there a fight there that you can remember in that scenario in your career?
I think maybe when I actually became world champion back in 1992, I faced a guy called Maurizio Stecca.
Right.
He was an Italian. He went to the Olympics and he got the gold medal. He was voted a boxer of the tournament. I think he had about 45 fights and won 44, and he was very, very highly touted. So when the fight was made, I think the boxing news actually the headline was "Fighter or Phony" because they weren't sure if I had the ability to beat him. I think going into the fight, a lot of people thought that he might be a little bit too good for me. But fortunately on the night I boxed really well, and I became world champion and realised my dream back in I think it was May 1992.
Yeah, sure. And when you up to that point, I mean, you'd So what was your age when you first started boxing?
I started when I was 15, which is sometimes quite late. I know a lot of people start younger, but I always think I didn't start too young. Because I think if you do that, by the time you get to your 20s, 30, you're kind of burnt out. You've done it, too long. But I started quite late, and for me, my idols were Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah. I loved the way I thought. They would hit and don't get hit. Yeah. They loved the noble art of self-defense, and I kind of pictured myself, and they were my inspirations really. So like both of them, I think my aim when I started off was to go to the Olympics. Win a gold medal and then go on from there. But I was in the Olympic squad to go to Seoul, and myself and a guy from Scotland called Dave Anderson, we fought in the national finals. He beat me on a majority decision. I thought I beat him. A lot of people thought I beat him, but he won the decision and that, and he went to the Olympics. And I never got the chance to, fulfill my dream and go to the Olympics. But as I said before, I mean, I beat Mauricio Stecker, who was a former Olympic champion. So in a way, it kind of made up for me going out there myself. Like, boxing's been great. I love the sport.
Right. Well, you mentioned the Seoul Olympics. In fact, there are a number of disgruntled participants of the Seoul Olympics, namely Vander Holyfield and Roy Jones Jr., because at that time there was a big anti-US feeling in Korea, and those were two examples of boxing matches that everyone said that there were robberies, because Roy Jones Jr., as everyone knows, I mean, personally, I think one of the greatest fighters in boxing history, but he lost his fight in those. He couldn't knock out the other guy, but everyone thought he plainly won it. But the decision was given to the other guy
back in those days. I think at the Olympics, it's going to stage where you've got a lot of political decisions in that, and it's so disappointing. I know Floyd Mayweather was another one who lost a terrible decision in the Olympics, and those kind of things can really affect you as a young fighter, and they can make and break you.
Absolutely.
But hopefully, the standards and the refereeing has improved over the years, but you still do get the occasional political decisions, and it's something which we need to try and get a hold of to make sure that the true winner is the one who can be raised.
Yeah.
I mean, being a trainer yourself, I mean, have you noticed a difference in the boxers of the 90s and to the boxers of now? Because many people seem to be saying that the boxers of now wouldn't really be able to hold themselves against the boxers of the 80s and 90s.
It's difficult to people say that, but I think over the years things are improving. You look at nutrition, strength and conditioning, everything progressing. People are running faster. So over the years, I think there are, I think you've got better facilities. So I think fighters today is very difficult to, and I never try and judge latter day fight, older day fighters to the present day fighters. I think it's a dangerous thing, and it doesn't really give you a true reflection. But I'd say over the years, I think technically, boxers are improving, and you get the likes of Mayweather and Terence Crawford, Lomachenko, Usyk. Technically, they're very, very good fighters. So I think it's hard to say one generation is better than the other. I think you've just got to try and embrace, every generation, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a sensible approach.
I'd like to dive in there.
Sure.
Just to say something. For me personally, I would say that because the older generation of fighters, and I don't know if I can include myself, but being on the cusp of an older generation fighter now, we didn't have such great facilities, because we didn't have the likes of nutritionists and masseuses and people that wanted to rub our toes and massage our necks and egos even.
Yes.
It made for just a tougher fighter, because, and especially, and I'm looking at just at the heavyweight division, when I think about guys in the 70s, 80s and 90s, the way that the heavyweight fighters came in, they were always in great shape. Most of them are always in great shape. They did 15 rounds of boxing. And they got cut, and they would suffer these cuts and knockdowns and this and that, but they'd get up and fight. And it weren't just about fighting for the big purses, it was about fighting for pride. And I think that, to me personally, I think that's one of the things that's been taken away from boxing.
Yes.
I think we see some fights nowadays, and I'm not saying all fighters, but some fighters get to become big household names because of the amount of social media clicks on the internet instead of how much work they put in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't you add to that, Colin, at all? Before I sort of put my sort of 2 pence worth in, you don't add to that point at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, as Julie said, that I do agree.
Yeah.
You know, things have changed, and one thing which I don't particularly like, and I think a lot of fighters are not with, is, as you say, you get in a situation where they've got the likes of, you know, certain social media figures are earning, you know, a lot more money than, you know, real bona fide fighters who've kind of gone through the process, gone through the amateur ranks, learned their trade, applied their trade, and financially they look around at someone who's got, you know, a quarter of their ability, but is getting, you know, 10 times what they're getting. And I think that's very, very hard, you know, for the fighters today to accept. And I can understand why. And it is very, very unfair. You know, people are kind of like not, and I think particularly boxing, it's got to be, do you want to be the best, to be the number one? It's not as though you've got more people following you, which dictate how well you do. It should be on your ability. So
definitely.
Whereby it's not a case of, you know, people, you know, Ryan Garcia is a half decent fighter, very good fighter, but, you know, he isn't as great without that media backing and social media following, which, you know, it makes a lot of money for himself. But as I say, you would like to see the guys, the real number ones getting that.
Absolutely. And I mean, I absolutely agree with you in terms of the benefit that a lot of boxers these days get from social media. In fact, I was sort of, I had a very sort of long-standing sort of discussion with one of my friends. He was actually kickboxer, champion kickboxer, and he said to me, Ryan Garcia is going to beat Tank, and I said, no, I said, I don't think so. I think Ryan Garcia is good. He won't beat Tank. I'm telling you. We had, and of course we don't know what the result and what happened, but it's certainly, I think the social media can definitely boost a person's profile. Just going back to Julius's point earlier about the old, the fighters of the boxers of the 80s and 90s. I mean, one of the greatest boxers of that period was, in fact, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and he's lost to Sugar Ray Leonard was one of the factors people feel what contributed to the loss was that in the negotiations, Sugar Ray cleverly said that he wants to fight for 12 rounds and not 15, and Marvelous Marvin, obviously, as you know, is very tough guy, very skillful guy. He was used to fighting 15 rounds, and but because of the offer on the table was so high and so good, he accepted the 12 rounds. And I think that was a big mistake, because someone like him, he had more chance of winning over the 15 round, because that's a sort of
yeah.
I think in boxing, it's a matter of, you've got to be a great fighter, but also you've got to look at ways in which way you're going to, like you need a manager or people around you to make the right calls, to give you all the advantages. At that kind of level, you need every little advantage. And sometimes one thing for Sugar Ray Leonard, he was very, very shrewd, very sharp. I think he got Marvin at the right time. And that's part of the beauty of boxing, to know when is the right time and to make sure every little benefit is in your favour. Because at that top level, it's only the small margins which make the difference between winning a fight and losing a fight.
Definitely. I will always argue that fight, though. I will always argue in Hagler's favour. I think he was robbed.
That debate's going to go on, I think, for another 100 years, I think. Well, thank you. We're just coming up to our first break. So thank you very much, but do stay with us, Julius and Colin. We're just going to have a short break, then we're going to come back again. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
The views expressed on this program do not necessarily represent those of Revive FM or its management.
तकरीबन 60 मिलियन प्राइमरी स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चे इस वक्त स्कूल में दाखिल नहीं है। मयारी तालीम की फराहमी से पसमानदा बच्चों को गुर्बत के मुसलसल चक्कर से बचने का मुसावी मौका मिल सकता है। इस रमजान आइए आपके ताउन से इस बात को यकीनी बनाएं कि हर बच्चे को मयारी तालीम हासिल करने का मौका मिलेगा। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के जरिए बच्चे की तालीम को स्पॉन्सर करें। बस हमारे मकामी दफ्तर 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS पर तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और ट्विटर पर जुड़े रहें।
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkiyah.com.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no-obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Revive FM 94.0. On the radio, on your mobile, and online.
And welcome back to the Mahtab Aziz Celebrity Lawyer Show. We're still with our two great guests from the boxing world. So moving on to the present then. If I could start off with you, Colin. So moving on to the present, so you're a trainer for Hamza Shiraz, Abdul Khan.
I don't actually train. I'm more like a consultant, really.
Okay.
So like a consultant mentor. I'm working with Hamza Shiraz, who's fighting in Saudi on the 5v5 Warren and Hearn match.
Yes.
He's going to be fighting over there. Obviously, Umar Khan is cousin I'm working with, and a young fighter called Billy Adams. So I just work with the three guys, and it's more like mentoring and like trying to look at them, giving a bit of advice, about careers and stuff like that, really. So it's been going really well. I've been working with them for 4 years, and they're all doing really well, all unbeaten, and hopefully, a bright future.
So are you actually like instructed through Queensbury or through the actual boxers themselves, or how do you sort of work? Do you work with a promoter? They appoint you, or do they?
No. The actual fighters, obviously the fighters come to me, and sometimes a lot of the fighters, particularly their parents and that, know me from back in the day. Right. Kind of how my career went and like kind of my knowledge on that. So I'll come on board and just try and give them some help and some guidance. With what's to come. Sometimes a little bit of technical advice, but just trying sometimes in life. I always say to become a champion, it's those little things which make a difference. And if I can try and give them a little bit of advice here or there, which might be useful, hopefully that could be the factor which changes their life. So I've got all three lovely guys, so hopefully they can go on. And obviously, it's nice to be involved. I know myself. It's a great ride. And when you go out there and you want to try and fulfill your dreams and become a champion, and it's I'm enjoying it, being involved with them and seeing how their careers are progressing. And so all three of them, extremely talented, and we'll hopefully go, the world champions in the future.
Absolutely, and Hamza, of course, won the European title. I think it was just after 10 fights. So the potential was always, there for everyone to see, and he's done really well, coming that far. In fact, it's interesting because when I first saw Hamza, it was like some amateur video. In fact, someone else had come to ask me about his nephew. He said, what do you think about nephew? And he's fighting on this show, and what do you think about him? Then I saw his nephew, but then I'd also seen Hamza on the same sort of show. And I don't know who this guy is. Who's this guy? I can see this guy is going to go very far. He's going to be done. Later on, obviously, I got introduced to his family, and also and I actually was, their legal advisor as well. But he's a very, very talented guy, and it comes from a very good, solid base. Family.
And he's made a lot of input over the years. One thing I say for Hamza, he's made a lot of sacrifice. He trains over in the States a lot of the time, and he's very, very focused, and technically very good. He's got a very good ring IQ, and I said from way back, I always believed at the time he's got all the ability to become a world champion, and hopefully within the next year he should be fighting for a world champion and winning a world championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more interesting point about the card, for this 5 against 5, the main event, as you probably know, should have been Bivol versus and what happened was that he had an injury, so he came out of it, and his replacement was actually a boxer called Malik Zinat. And Malik Zinat is actually the guy that I actually discovered. He was actually boxing in Malta, and I saw a video of him, and I thought, wow, this guy looks like, why is he boxing on a small time show in Malta? He should be, I brought that video to the attention of Taz Khan, who's Ahmed Khan's uncle, and he in fact put it to Frank, and then they brought him over, signed him up, and he's fighting for a world title now. So amazing.
Yeah. I haven't seen him fight. I heard he's very, very good, and it should be an interesting fight with him and Bivol.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and of course Bivol, the person who defeated Canelo Alvarez, and Bivol himself is a very skillful boxer.
It didn't happen. I think a lot of people. One good thing about the Saudi involvement in boxing now is you are seeing the best fight the best. Like as we say with Fury and Usyk at the weekend, and Bivol and Beterbiev and that, and like the talk of now Canelo and Terence Crawford. Yes. We're at a time now, and that's really good. Where I think for too long it got to a stage where you saw fighters staying away and not getting. You want to say everybody wants to be the real champion.
Yes,
money at play. Those fights are being made, and some really exciting fights are in the pipeline.
Yeah, and of course, as we all know, boxing is something which a lot of youth can benefit from. I mean, there's an organization called Box Up, locally where one of my offices is based, and they get a lot of teenagers in, a lot of youth, and they actually really do a good job in getting them off the street, getting discipline and so on. And are you involved with any projects like that yourself, Colin? Or?
Yeah, I've got my own charity. It's called the Colin McMillan Boxing Training Academy. We're based over in Redbridge. I've been doing that for about 14, 15 years. So we go into various schools. Some schools with kids with disabilities. We should put programs together. But as you said, I think boxing, it teaches young people so much about themselves. It's a great character builder. And once they come along to the thing and they know about working hard, learn dedication, perseverance. And I've seen so many kind of kids come along and they're shy, they're feeling a little bit low, and it raises their self-esteem. And that's why I've been doing that for quite a long time. And we do loads of schools in the Redbridge area. And it's been really rewarding, trying to give kids the opportunity to take part in boxing and hopefully develop skills which are going to help them in everyday life later on. So, that's been going really well.
Absolutely, and of course, Anthony Joshua himself has never hidden the fact that had it not been for boxing, he would have been in a much far worse place now. And also, of course, with Mike Tyson, these are two very good examples that if boxing had not come into their lives, unfortunately, they would have been in a very, very, very sort of bad position.
I think everybody's. When I think about boxing, everybody's got a different story, and if they, for a lot of people. A lot of young people, give them the opportunity to to get out of the ghetto and to make something of themselves. But it's not only that case. I mean, for myself, you know, I got O-level A. I wanted to become a lawyer. That was my ambition in that.
Yes.
But I loved boxing, and I was able to kind of follow that career and do quite well there. But as I say, when we're in boxing, you get different types of people, and it's something for everybody.
Oh, absolutely, and of course, Barrera was also wanting to become. I think he was about to qualify as a lawyer, then sort of switched to boxing. So it does happen, and you know, there are other people, you know, well educated. I think David Hay was actually. I think he did quite well in education, went to boxing, and so did Joe Joyce. You know, two examples. They've done very well in education, but still chose to come into boxing.
Yeah.
And you should never say never, Colin. You know, if you still want to be a lawyer, let me know. I'm sure we can do something.
Well for that.
Julius, so turning to you, Julius. Obviously, you're into security now. That's yeah. Obviously, you must have seen a lot of rowdy and, you know, boisterous and aggressive people in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
So my story is kind of a lot different than that, because my education was it wasn't the best. I would say it definitely wasn't the best. I would have never kind of ever thought about being a lawyer. That was a million miles away from me. But again, like Colin, I'm involved in mentoring, talking to young people. I go around different venues and schools, and sometimes getting involved with different kind of associations and with different people to just try and inspire young people. Still keep my hand a little bit in the boxing world, where I meet young people and talk about boxing and try and inspire them in the game. Right. But yeah, my thing is really, I maybe you might have noticed, I like to talk. So me talking my story and showing young people that, again, we touched on the kind of like the street life and knife crime and violence and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of push myself to try and get, again, young people off the streets, and actually to make them understand that picking up knives and guns and violence and this, that, and the other is really the wrong way. It really can only lead to only a couple of places, the morgue or the prison cell.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's kind of it for me. Yes, I'm involved in security, being a manager, and I do, like you say, you touched on seeing kind of like the crazy side of how people can be. But yeah, it's kind of like that thing where I say to myself that for years and years I was involved in not necessarily gangs, but that kind of bit of a street life, and knew kind of gangsters and whatever. So I think graduating and you know, going to boxing really took me away from that life at the right time. And I remember my amateur boxing coach. I was trained down in Woolwich, St. Peters. And my amateur boxing coach, he actually stood up in court for me at the Old Bailey. I was on a case back many years ago.
Right.
So and he stood up and put himself on the line for me. So he for me was a good man, and I wanted to repay him back.
Yeah.
And me going on to be successful in my boxing career and being able to present him and show him the Lonsdale belt.
Yeah.
And him saying to me, yeah, he saw something in me, and he said that, yeah, his boy has done good. The guy that he saw, he always said to me, you know, you keep training, and I know you can do it. But I never saw it because I didn't think I was that good.
Right.
But he obviously saw something in me, and yeah, it's kind of like that. So I want to be able to give and pay something back, because I know now when I go back to where I grew up and I see how many young people have said to me, Julius, because of you, I'm boxing. Because of you, you inspired me. And that to me, I'm saying to myself, but wow, that's a really big thing to kind of have on my shoulders.
Absolutely.
You know. And young people that I've met over the years, I used to do a thing called boxing for schools.
Right.
So we used to go into schools and do after school clubs. And one of the one kid in particular who is doing very well now, I met him as a young 14, 15-year-old in a school, and he just got hooked on boxing because of what we were doing in the schools.
Right.
So yeah. So and he's actually a top class pro now, going to be fighting for a world title. So hopefully in the near future, you know.
Great.
And he actually lived out my kind of dreams of like Colin said about going to the Olympics. He went to the Olympics,
right?
And it's I'll name him if it's possible. Yeah, Joshua Boatsi.
Ah, okay.
Joshua Boatsi. So he went to the Olympics, won a bronze medal, and for me, like he used to come down and see me and tell me that he won the ABAs, and then now he's in the England squad, and now he's fighting for England, and it was fantastic to see his progress, and still have him come to me and say thank you. You know, like back in the day, coming to say, I'm doing this, and for me, he kind of was living my dream. You know?
Absolutely, one of the great things about boxing.
Fantastic, you know what I mean. So, and I like to, when I do talk to young people, and try and tell them, like, and you can come from any walk of life, but boxing is a very, very level playing field. Now, when you first start boxing, everybody starts on the same level. Right. You know, and you all learn. Yes, you might learn at different speeds and at different times, but you all start in the same place. So, yeah. So it's a great leveler, and it teaches so many different things.
Yeah.
It teaches so, and that's what I love about it.
Great. I'm sure you. Well, for the way that you speak and the way that you use your experiences and how it affects you. I'm sure you'd be, a very inspirational figure. And perhaps, perhaps we can work
funny
on
when
that.
I hear that. When I hear things like that, it's quite funny.
Yeah, I'm sure we can work on that because I am involved with, a number of different organisations, and perhaps have you on as a speaker.
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to be strict with your speaking time, Julius. I'm going to put 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left. Sure, thank you, Julius. And coming back to Colin, then. Colin, so on to the main subject of our show, then. I'm going to start with you. So, what's your take on this great undisputed heavyweight fight coming up tomorrow?
I think like everybody, I'm really looking forward to it. As I said before, I think it's great to send the money, and we're seeing the fight that we really want to see. And you've got in a situation where it's for the undisputed heavyweight championship, and you've got two guys both undefeated and both very, very good. I mean, I like to think normally I'm quite good at judging or calling fights, and on this one, it's really, really difficult. 50-50 down the line. If I've got a lean, if anybody, slightly Tyson Fury, I just think he might be a little bit too big. I think particularly after the Ngannou fight last time, where I think mentally he wasn't prepared for the fight, and I think he got a rude awakening, and I think that would maybe try and G him up a little bit. And I think he knows, he's Alexander Usyk is a tremendous fighter. I remember commentating on him when he won the European Championship in Liverpool many years ago as an amateur. I thought this guy, it was him and Lemachenko, so these guys are going to go far, and I think he's turned out to be truly a great champion. So I've got so much respect for him. So I think it's going to be a great fight, hopefully. But I think the size, if he employs the right kind of tactic, the Fury, and I think he's coming quite. If he's able to use that height, that weight, and push him around and make it uncomfortable for Usyk, he's got a chance to to be victorious. But as I say, it's one of those fights which you know, I could see going either way.
Yes, it's very interesting because even a sort of experience the season, a lot of, well, like yourself, a lot of season and experience, pros. They're on either side. I mean, George Foreman thinks that Usyk's going to win, and Ahmed Khan thinks Tyson Fury is going to win. But Bellew thinks Usyk's going to win. So it's something that's divided. Divided with a lot of opinions. So Collins for Fury, but don't count out Usyk. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And Julius. So what about being a heavyweight yourself? How do you?
Yeah. Well, I'm going the other way. I'm going more in favor of Usyk.
Right.
Not because because he's a very awkward southpaw, for one. He's undisputed cruiserweight champion, light heavy cruiserweight champion. He has got a good chin.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to pin him down and hold him in one place to really set about him. We saw that there was maybe the fragility is in him when he fought Daniel Dubois, and he got caught with, I would say, it was a legal blow. It was a legal blow,
right,
above the waistline. Didn't hit him in the privates. So that was maybe a thing that maybe Tyson Fury might try and capitalize on to work on his body. But on the other hand, we say a good big one will generally always beat a good little one. That's the kind of adage. But on the other side of that, Mike Tyson was a good little fighter, and he beat some very, very good big fighters.
Absolutely. And just cutting you short there, of course, James Oyebola, who you fought, was much bigger than you. Obviously, he's passed away now. Maybe.
Yeah, great fighter, a very good man.
Much bigger than you, and that you won against him. So it's.
We were. I think I was roughly about 16 stone. James was about maybe 17 stone plus at the time.
But we were both.
Yeah, because James was at the time. James was the tallest heavyweight. I think definitely the tallest heavyweight in Britain at the time, pro heavyweight, because he was 6'9" and maybe a little bit more, and he had arms that long as well.
Yes.
But yeah, and he could punch. James was a bit of a banger as well. But it maybe I thought, and I will say this on the fact with James, I thought James right at the right time. I think James was coming towards the end of his career.
Right.
So I'm not gonna. I'm not taking anything away from him. He was a good fighter because I'd seen him fight and I'd seen him stop a few guys as well. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But again, going back to Usyk, he's very awkward. And one thing I've seen with Usyk, he has this steely look in his eyes.
Yes.
And when I say he has this steely look in his eyes, if you look at him closely, I think, and I mean this in all respect and in the nicest, and this is the nicest way I can ever say it.
Yeah.
He looks like a psychopath.
Well, funny you say that because Fury refused to do the face off, because that's what he said. He's a scary guy. He said he didn't want to face it.
Yes, and he just has this look in his eyes that nothing is going to. Once he gets his teeth into something, he's not going to let it go. He just there's just something about him, and as much as when I spoke to Tyson Fury once, and I said to him, I betted against him. Against Klitschko when he fought Klitschko, and when he fought the first Deontay Wilder fight. When I spoke to him, and I said, I bet against you. And he said to me, you know what? I would have bet against me because I didn't know what I was going to do.
Right. Yes.
Because he just has this something different about. He flips his switch and something different happens.
That's right. Yeah.
He's got a great mind. Tyson Fury has a great mind. But I also think that Usyk has done so much in the game, amateur and professional, that I think it's just going to be that little bit too much for Tyson Fury.
Right.
I think Usyk has something different up his sleeve.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Julius, and very, analytical, logical. As Colin, you both, put forward very, good arguments there for the fighters that you prefer to win the match. My personal sort of take on it is that, like you said, Julius, I think a lot of people don't realize how elusive Usyk is. His footwork is so good. It's so advanced footwork. The average person won't really realize how good it is because he's so good at it. And he has fought big men before. He's fought Joe Joyce before in the amateurs, and he beat him. Joe Joyce is 6'6", and he did a very good job against him. So I think he knows exactly what to do with big opponents. That's the first thing. Second thing is he's a southpaw, as you mentioned, Julius. And I feel that Tyson Fury has some sort of thing, a weak point against southpaws. I've seen that before in his career, and of course, I believe, was it not Cunningham? I think he was a cruiserweight, and I think he was a southpaw as well.
I remember southpaw, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was. When I looked at it some time ago, I looked at all the right sort of southpaws, and I could see that they were giving him a lot of problems. So that's another thing. I think he doesn't like fighting southpaws. I
think nobody does. I think they, as they used to say, my old trainer used to say, they should all be drowned at birth. But they're very, very awkward and very, very hard to deal with.
That's right. Yeah, and I think so. Those two factors. And the thing is, people keep on saying that, yes, he may use his weight to lean, but to be able to lean on someone, you've got to catch him. He's going to be too elusive. He's not going to put himself into a position where Fury does lean on him. So I think he's too elusive. And I think he's going to. And the third thing I wanted to say about Usyk is one of the few boxers I've seen, in particular as a heavyweight, that you will see that his tank it gets better as the fight goes on.
He's got a good engine. He has got a very good engine.
So in the latter part of the fight, he still have that energy and punching power. So I think. Because of all these reasons, I would logically, I would agree with Julius. I think Usyk probably has a much better chance of winning. But having said that, at the moment, Fury has come in at a weight that he's not coming at before in terms of he's quite lean. He's
quite light.
Yeah, but that could work against him, and it could work in his favor. It could work against him because previously he had that weight to absorb the power punches. Now he's coming in much leaner, and perhaps he's doing something that's a bit in the dark for him, because I don't think he's come in that way before, and he has to really test out this new physique, sort of physique against a very, very accomplished, very, very intelligent boxer. So it's really interesting. As Colin said, we can't completely.
I do think for Fury, for a big man, he's got a very fast hand and he's got very good movement.
Yeah.
Particularly coming in at that lighter weight, I think if he puts on too much weight and he's too static, I think he knows that Usyk's going to be able to outbox him out and outmaneuver him. But coming in a little bit lighter, I think that'll be his mindset.
Yeah.
But sorry, Colin. What I would say, sorry to cut you, Cole, but what I would say that if Tyson Fury has to chase the fight, how does that work for him? Because we all know, we saw Usyk do this against Anthony Joshua in both the fights, that he used the rings so well. And his engine, like I say, we saw this, his engine is very, very, very good. For a bigger guy, he's very maneuverable. He pops out that jab from very awkward angles, twists, turns, the way he shuffles his feet. If Tyson Fury has to chase him around the ring, how does that work?
I think with Fury, I think he'll realize. If you look at the Derek Chisora fight, he was able to make it very, very difficult for Usyk, but he didn't have the technical ability to follow through. If you kind of get in there and make it hard for Usyk, make him make that weight play,
But again. Sorry to say this, Paul, but again, the Chisora fight I feel was to me it was a nothing fight, because there was it didn't really prove to me anything about Usyk what we didn't already know.
If I could come in on that, please. You made a very valid point. In fact, when I saw that fight, I felt that Usyk was using the same tactics as Evander Holyfield did when he wanted to get the fight with Mike Tyson. He purposefully, I think, underperformed. He was capable of a far better performance. He purposely underperformed because he knew that the guys watching at ringside, Josh, he was watching at ringside, and I think he did. And in fact, later on, I'm sure I read somewhere that that was the case, that he had actually not performed.
He didn't do anything do anything out of the ordinary. Didn't do anything that was really spectacular in that fight. And as much as we can credit Chisora for, I think the fight went the distance anyway, and staying the course, he just was a man that was getting peppered every move that he made. Every time he stepped towards Usyk, he was getting peppered with shots. So it wasn't really a thing that we hadn't seen.
Well, guys, it's been an excellent program. We've run out of time.
Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry, sir. Excellent. Absolutely, it's been so great having you both on, and I'm sure we can go on for hours. If you I really appreciate Colin and Julius coming on today.
Thank you.
You made a great show. I have to say, and hopefully, we'll have you back again at some stage.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Mate, thank you.
Take care. Take care, guys.
All right. Take care. Mahtab, look after you. We'll talk again.
All right.
Bye.
That's all for the Celebrity Lawyer Show for today, and see you back next week. Thank you.
पानी के बगैर जिंदगी का तसव्वुर नामुमकिन है। दुनिया भर में तकरीबन 2 अरब से ज्यादा लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको पीने का साफ और महफूज पानी मुयस्सर नहीं। रोजमर्रा के इस्तेमाल के साथ साथ पीने के लिए इन्हें आलूदा पानी पर इन्हिसार करना पड़ता है, जिसकी वजह से बच्चे या बड़े सब मुख्तलिफ बीमारियों का शिकार हो जाते हैं।